Good morning, everyone. I'm Pablo Vieira. I'm the Global Director of the NDC Partnership. And I want to welcome you all to this celebration of the partnership with our high-level event, the 8th one that we're hosting, the 5th one that we're doing in the NDC Partnership Pavilion. As you all are aware, are engaged, today's a crazy day. So this is going to be a fun event with people popping in, popping out, and the people needing to leave early and coming late. So we'll try to figure out the order. We have great speakers, great champions from the NDC Partnership. I want to thank you all for being here and for the support that you all bring to the partnership. As a Global Director of the NDC Partnership, I want to start by thanking our co-chairs, Denmark and Rwanda, for their leadership, and the UNFCCC for the close collaboration that we've been having. This has been a very busy year where we have been doing a lot together and where we hope to deliver on very ambitious NDCs next year and accelerated implementation of the NDCs. As a global coalition, the NDC Partnership brings together more than 230 members today. This robust and diverse membership puts the partnership in an unmatched position to collectively support countries on climate action that delivers economic and social transformation. Countries harness the full strength of this collaboration to unlock key enablers for country-driven climate action that drives large-scale, society-wide change and economic growth. Over the last 10 days here at COP, the co-chairs, together with the support unit, have been meeting with members. We have talked to more than 70 developing countries, and we're using this information to ensure that the partnership collective work is grounded both on the success over the last 8 years, but very much aligned with countries' current realities and priorities. Our focal points across ministries of finance, environment, energy, and others are affirming their commitment to ambitious NDCs 3.0 to be delivered next year, and are stressing the challenge they're facing in terms of effectively mobilizing finance to successfully implement their commitments, their NDCs. We have also met with numerous partners, many of you here in the room, who are eager to understand how to best channel the limited resources available and calling for countries to use NDCs as a mechanism to set course for investment. Looking to the partnership to provide the necessary technical assistance and expertise to support them in doing so. This collaborative effort is more important than ever to ensure a vibrant future for all. And this is a responsibility that we all share in this room. There is work to be done together to accelerate ambitious action and position countries to attract the support and investment necessary to deliver the goals of the Paris Agreement. This is the role of the NDC Partnership, from Baku to Belém and beyond. So let me welcome you all again, and it's an honor to have joining us Mr. Simon Still, Executive Secretary of the UNFCCC, to deliver our keynote remarks today on a very busy day, and I know you need to run, so Simon, thank you for joining us, please.
Thank you very much, Pablo. And Daniela was ready to jump in. So, Excellencies, colleagues, friends, earlier this year, I said the next round of NDCs are the most important policy documents this century. So why is that? First, because they will be the final barricade for every nation in its fight to the death against climate impacts getting more brutal each year. And let's be clear, no nation is winning this fight. Every economy is being besieged by climate disasters, ripping up to 5% of GDP in some countries. And it's people and businesses that are paying the heaviest price. Yesterday was Agriculture Day, and we heard again that food production and supply chains are getting slammed by climate impacts. fueling inflation and hunger in every country. So I'll be honest, it's grim. Indeed, I'm often asked what gives me confidence that we can get this job done. The answer is lots of different things. Quiet acts of solidarity from people who get knocked down, but who refuse to stay down. But there are also big things, the macro trends that aren't up for debate. And there's none bigger than the global clean energy boom, set to hit $2 trillion this year alone. And it's just getting started. Money talks, and as we enter the second quarter of this century, it's saying loud and clear, there's no stopping the clean energy juggernaut and the vast benefits it brings. Stronger growth, more jobs, less pollution and inflation, cheaper and cleaner energy. The list of benefits go on. And that's why we've seen two G20 countries, the UK and Brazil, signal clearly at the COP they plan to ramp up climate action in their NDC 3.0, because it's 100% in their economic interests to do so. But, and it's a big but, right now these vast benefits are only achievable for some. Our job is to make them achievable for all, to ensure every country can deliver a bold new national climate plan covering all greenhouse gases, all sectors, and aligned with the science in keeping 1.5 within reach. The NDC Partnership plays a crucial role here, and I commend Pablo and his team for all of their work. Your network has the expertise, the capacity to support parties addressing their unique needs and coordinating support. At the Secretariat, we're gearing up to play our part in the crucial year ahead, working with the UN system. You heard me announce in my opening speech the Climate Plan campaign, which will help mobilize countries to deliver. So I urge you all today, reaffirm and where possible, strengthen your commitments. Show the world that transformational NDCs are not optional. They are opportunities no country can miss. I thank you. And I've got to run, but thank you.
Thank you very much, Simon, and thank you for taking the time and for sending that very strong message that actually get us started in the right track for this conversation today. Thank you, Simon. Now let me pass on to bring in our co-chairs. Let me start by inviting Mr. Faustin Mnesi-Kerewe, who's the Deputy Director General for the Rwandan Environmental Management Authority and co-chair representing developing countries of the NDC Partnership. Faustin, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Pablo. Excellency Ministers, co-chair of NDC Partnership, UNFC Executive Secretary, who just left, and there is a representative, distinguished colleagues, partners, and fellow leaders. Good morning. I'm honored to address you today on behalf of Rwanda as co-chair of NDC Partnership at a crucial juncture in our global response to the climate crisis. Today's gathering is not only a moment to reflect on the progress we have made, but also an opportunity to galvanize our collective resolve to overcome the obstacle ahead. Each of us represents a piece of a larger solution, and our gathering today exemplifies the essential spirit of collaboration needed to advance ambitious, inclusive climate action. The NDC Partnership has set an extraordinary precedent in demonstrating how meaningful climate progress can be achieved through cooperation that transcends national borders, sectors, and interests. This coalition with over 230 members, including more than 130 countries and nearly 100 institutions, brings together the unique strength of each member, fostering a robust platform where resources, knowledge, and commitment converge. This collaboration is driving genuine progress toward the Paris Agreement and the Sustainable Development Goals, empowering countries to build resilience and seize the opportunity inherent in the green transition. For Rwanda, the support of the NDC Partnership has been pivotal in advancing our climate and development goals. Through this partnership, we have developed comprehensive national investment strategies that integrate our NDC into our national budget. This has allowed us to engage key stakeholders from government to the private sector, creating a unified roadmap for climate financing and investment. Mobilizing resources for impactful climate initiative is not merely a strategy. It is a necessity for Rwanda, where the effects of climate change pose significant risks to our economic and social progress. The recent report portrayed that 5 to 7% is the GDP loss for our country annually. Yet our experience shows that with the right partnership, we can turn those risks into opportunities for sustainable growth. As we look toward the future, we recognize that the development of NDC 3.0 represents an invaluable opportunity to elevate our ambitions to new heights. Next generation NDCs must be characterized by ambition, quality, and a clear path to implementation. They must be backed by robust data, aligned with the scientific imperative of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and set explicit mitigation and adaptation targets that offer tangible social and economic benefits to our communities. This is no small task. For NDC 3.0 to succeed, they must be not only technically sound, but also financially viable, attracting the investments needed to turn those plans into reality. Achieving those goals requires us to double down on the NDC partnership model of coordinated country-led support. Climate action is not one-size-fits-all endeavor, and each country faces unique challenges that demand tailored responses. The partnership approach to readiness support includes NDC development, integration into planning and budgeting processes, and creating an enabling policy environment is very essential. This foundation support equips countries to own their climate agenda and enable them to access more significant and sustainable financing. Flexible, predictable support packages coordinated across multiple partners and stakeholders are fundamental to this readiness, allowing countries to establish the building block necessary for a low-carbon, climate-resilient future. In Rwanda, we have seen firsthand the power of those building blocks, but we also know there is more work to be done. While progress is being made, there remain persistent gaps in implementation, finance, and ambition, particularly for developing countries. Closing those gaps requires that we, as a global community, remain steadfast in our commitment to country ownership, prioritizing support that builds on resources already allocated by nations themselves. By supporting each country's specific pathway to resilience, we foster an environment where climate action is not only achievable but sustainable in the long term. To conclude my remarks, at this critical juncture, I urge each of us to reaffirm our commitment to this collaborative approach. Our partnership is more than just a network. It is a coalition driven by shared purpose and a common vision of a sustainable future. Let us continue to work together, guided by a spirit of mutual respect and shared responsibility. By aligning our resources, harmonizing our strategies, and strengthening our resolve, we can turn climate ambition into impactful action that protects our planet and uplifts our people. Together, we are stronger, and together we can deliver a future that is resilient, inclusive, and prosperous for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Faustin. And you talked about bringing us together, closer together. That's why we picked a small space this year for the pavilion, so that we can all sit closer together and get closer to each other. Let me now move to our former co-chair, the United Kingdom. I would love to introduce Secretary of State Ed Miliband, Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero of the United Kingdom. Please, sir, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. And can I say, Excellencies and delegates, what a privilege it is to be speaking at this event. And I want to really start by putting on record my fulsome thanks to the NDC Partnership for the incredible work that you do. The UK is a really proud member of the partnership. I want to thank Denmark and Rwanda for their co-chairing, which is incredibly important. And I thought your speech was an incredibly eloquent demonstration of the work that you have done. Look, I just want to say one thing in particular, that it feels like there are two truths competing with each other at this COP. The first truth is that the transition, the clean energy transition, is unstoppable, and the momentum is clear. And the second truth is that we are not going nearly fast enough in that transition, and that we see the deeply damaging effects of the climate crisis all around us in countries across the world. And it seems to me that the NDC Partnership has an absolutely crucial role in, if you like, taking on that second truth and speeding up the transition. That is the job of all of us. And I think, if I may say, you face a particular role in the next 12 months in the run-up to COP30, when we know that we need ambitious NDCs aligned with 1.5 degrees. The UK is putting forward £25 million to support you in your work, to support up to 40 countries to deliver their own ambitious NDCs in good time for COP30. And underneath these two truths, if you like, I think there are three things that the partnership can do. The first is work with countries to show the ambition consistent with 1.5 degrees. And as people will know, the UK has tried to set, if you like, a high ambition equilibrium for the announcements countries are going to make by announcing an 81% reduction by 2035 on 1990 levels, which we believe is both ambitious and consistent with 1.5 degrees. So first of all, ambition is key, and we can negotiate with each other, but we can't negotiate with the science, and the science is telling us we need to act, and we need to act aligned with 1.5 degrees. Secondly, I think the NDC Partnership has an incredibly important role in turning ambition into action, because we know that targets are one thing, actually delivering is another, and your technical support and advice to help countries is incredibly important, and also your fantastic global network of NDC in-country facilitators working on implementation. And then the third point I want to make is this, which is the whole point of this COP is to ensure that we have a successful outcome of the NCQG negotiations to deliver the finance that can unlock ambitious NDCs. So finance is the precondition of ambition in terms of the NDCs, but the converse is also true. An ambitious NDC can provide a roadmap for the private sector in particular, and indeed the multilateral development banks, who I know we have here, to say the country has a clear plan, a clear way of moving forward, and this gives a framework in which investors can make their investments. And it seems to me this linkage, this partnership between finance and ambition works, yes, in one way, but it also works both ways. So in those three respects, we really look forward to working with you in the next 12 months to make sure that we make the progress we need to by the time of COP30. Point I will end on is this, which is one is reminded at these COP events about our interconnectedness as a world. The truth is that climate change knows no borders. I'm very proud to say to the British media, we're here out of national self-interest. We have a self-interest in working with countries. We are 1% of global emissions, but we have an interest in working with the countries that represent the other 99% of global emissions, because if we don't do that, we won't keep future generations safe in the UK. We are interconnected. The NDC Partnership is an expression of our interconnectedness, and we look forward to working with you in the next 12 months to continue the brilliant work you're doing. Thank you so much. And I apologize because I have to also leave for my next engagement.
Thank you very much. And we're already supporting almost 70 countries, so the support from the UK will come in handy. Now, it's my honor to invite our co-chair from Denmark, Minister Lars Øgge, Minister of Climate, Energy and Utilities, and co-chair of the NDC Partnership. Minister, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here as co-chair of the NDC Partnership. As Ed just pointed out, we know the severity of the situation. I mean, we are heading for 3.9 degrees Celsius temperature increase. So the need for action is I hope, obvious to everybody. And as a global community, we need to set the right direction, have the right ambition, and we need to make sure that our ambitions is met by having plans how to meet our ambitions. So we need to strike a balance between setting ambitious goals, securing implementation, and I know from the work in my country that is a quite challenging balance to strike. But striking this balance is exactly what we need to do in the NDC Partnership. Earlier, I've compared our work in the partnership to a mountain climbing. We are now standing at the bottom of the mountain. You might be able to see or spot the summit in the horizon, but getting up there requires a detailed map. Without a quality map, you might end up wasting precious time and energy, and these are two things that we are short of. What we need are maps with both ambitious endpoints and clear road markings, and that is what we should help each other with in the NDC Partnership. Big numbers doesn't matter unless they are followed up by realistic plans for how to achieve them. We in the NDC Partnerships can help each other to create implementation plans and better policies to deliver on reductions. Therefore, I encourage all countries and partners present here today to engage and use the partnership. The tasks ahead of us are daunting. They are clearly set out in the global stocktake decision from COP28, a tripling of renewable energy, doubling of energy efficiency, and a transition away from fossil fuels. It might seem impossible when you look at these numbers. So we'll share with you just a little story of my own country. In 2020, we set the target of lowering our emissions by 70%. And when we set that target, it seemed impossible. In reality, we didn't have a roadmap. Bold statement, but no implementation plan. Now, 4 years down the road, we have paved the way. We have secured plans to increase renewable energy, wind, solar, biomethane, fast rollout of e-mobility, and CCS will also come into play a role. Solutions that maybe not implemented exactly the same way as us, but it's tools that are available for all of us. The energy transition is core, but it's not enough. So we have now negotiated and finalized an agreement with a broad coalition in our parliament that we will introduce the first carbon tax on agriculture. So the combination of a huge transition process away from fossil fuels, energy efficiency, more renewable energy, combined with a strategy for the agricultural sector, will now secure that what seems impossible 4 years ago will actually be a reality when we hit 2030. These lessons learned in my country, I hope they could be beneficial for others. I'm very humbled that no country can just copy each other, but we all have done rights and wrongs, and we must learn from that. And we need to do more, and Denmark is committed to that, to help the poorest countries as they deal with devastating consequences of climate change. And we must not let the enormity of the task scare us away. Instead, we must act together, focus on the steps that are in front of us, and the NDC Partnership offers a platform for concrete collective actions, and we should embrace that. We have all different strengths, circumstances, but we should use these differences to learn from each other and encourage each other to go further and go faster. In Denmark, we believe in the power of this partnership, and we want to see it flourish. Therefore, I'm proud that Denmark expects to deliver an additional $5 million in funding for the partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you for that commitment to the partnership at all levels. We've been discussing the urgency and the need for finance and the role of critical stakeholders like the MDBs. So it's my pleasure to now invite Ms. Noelle O'Brien, Director of Climate Change of the Asian Development Bank, to deliver her intervention. Noelle, welcome.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for inviting ADB to be part of this. We're currently the chair of the climate heads of the MDBs and also a member of the NDC Partnership Steering Committee. So it's an honor for us to be representing the MDBs and particularly the regional development banks. And I commend the NDC Partnership on its achievements to date. So the multilateral development banks are firmly committed to supporting ambitious climate action. Our goal is to provide flexible, targeted approaches that drive sustainable growth, create jobs, address biodiversity loss and pollution, and enhance resilience and inclusivity. For those of you who have not yet heard, but last week we jointly announced that by 2030, MDBs aim to cumulatively deliver $100 billion annually in climate finance for low and middle income countries by the year 2030. Beyond financing, we offer comprehensive policy support, capacity building, and knowledge transfer. A critical role as we discuss this important topic of NDCs 3.0. Nationally determined contributions are central to global collaboration under the Paris Agreement. With the NDC 3.0 deadline approaching, MDBs are stepping up to support country-led processes to define ambition and articulate pathways to transition. In the last year, MDBs have collectively delivered 216 new initiatives on NDC support. Current country pledges are far from sufficient to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. We remain on that trajectory to 2.6 degrees of global average warming by the end of the century. And this necessitates absolutely a significant step up in the ambition. This ambition must be balanced with the support for developing countries that aligns with their national circumstances. Achieving this balance requires a deep understanding of the country context and capacities. And we feel that MDBs are uniquely positioned to deliver this support, given the expertise in policy analysis, capacity building, and development finance, as well as the strong relationships with key ministries, public authorities, and the private and financial sectors at both the national and global levels. So MDBs can work programmatically with countries and clients over the long term, and we feel that country platforms will be a critical part of that process. And with our joint statement from last week available on all of the MDB websites, you will also find our paper on engagement with country platforms. MDBs play a critical role in providing upstream support, working with governments and stakeholders to enhance climate diagnostics, foster conducive policy and institutional environments, and build capacity. So, for instance, through ADB's NDC Advance, we supported the preparation of Tajikistan's NDC Climate Finance Plan, which identifies key investment needs and structural reforms to help Tajikistan achieve its NDC's targets. At the midstream level, MDBs assist countries in integrating climate targets into national planning, budget, and systems. So, for example, in the Philippines, we've been part of the process with ADB's climate change policy-based loan to strengthen institutional links between local governments and national agencies, enabling more effective budgeting at the local level. And a pretty critical part of this work is also the work that we do with finance ministries. So at the global level, the Coalition of Finance Ministers for Climate Action, but also at regional levels. So this support is critical to informing the formulation of the investments that are downstream in all of our MDB engagement, shifting public and private sector lending pipelines to align with the country's climate goals. Creating enabling environments through strong policies and institutions is essential for mobilizing climate finance. And MDBs must go beyond increasing funding volumes. We must create systems and markets for climate-aligned investments, and also that work on our outcomes that MDBs are now more increasingly focused on. The world is far from achieving its climate objectives, and the journey ahead is a collective one. MDBs recognize the magnitude of this challenge, and as institutional members of the NDC Partnership, we look forward to continuing our collaborative efforts to deliver on the Paris Agreement goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing the voice of the collective of the MDBs. It is now my pleasure to invite a member that was instrumental in the creation of the partnership and has been a champion ever since. Let me invite State Secretary Jochen Flassbart, State Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development of Germany. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pablo. Colleagues and friends, great to be here. Yes, something we are a bit proud about, together with Morocco, that 1 year after we got the Paris deal, already in 2016 we created the NDC Partnership. And look, there are many good words in the Paris Agreement, but my favorite is mutual implementation. And you know, Pablo, you are the mutuality. The NDC Partnership you are standing for, that it is what makes progress each and every year, each and every circle. And so much has been achieved through the partnership, learning from each other. What have others experienced? Maybe also what have they done wrong? How do we get the different institutions together, the MDBs, and the whole UN system? So now we are sitting at the next step, the NDC 3.0, and I think they can be more and more relevant for structural approaches of the huge transformation. We have not only the climate. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were together in Cali. There we have as a driving machine the NBCEPs. We have the adaptation planning, and we are learning constantly more about what is needed to get the transformation done. Just at the beginning, when I arrived here, we had a meeting, a side event on skills for the big transformation, for climate neutrality. And I haven't seen the studies before. We are also learning once we are jumping from one panel to the other, right? I realized that 0.1 degree of potential reduction of greenhouse of global temperature rise is at risk if we are not providing the right skills and the jobs to get this done. So again, something that needs to be included to the NDC. So what I'm saying is, this is learning by doing, and this is a learning machine here. We are very committed. We stay committed. I'm transparent here. I announced it already at another panel, but I do it with pleasure here again. We will provide another 38 million euros for the NDC partnership, together with our colleagues from the Ministry for Economic Cooperation, for Economy and Energy and Climate. I think that's my last reflection. We are on the provider side following the whole of governance approach. I think the more strategic the NDCs get, the more relevant it is that they are also on the recipient side are following a whole of government approach. So my final point, it's nice and tiny and cozy here, but you can be so proud on what the NDC partnership is doing. Reach out more, go to the biggest rooms you have here at this COP. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And we're already working with Brazil on a bigger room next year. Now it's my pleasure to invite another longtime champion, Mr. Trick Talley, Senior Advisor of the Special Presidential Envoy for Climate of the United States, to take the floor. Trick, welcome.
Thanks, and thanks for letting me jump the queue over so many distinguished delegates, because I have to run back to the plenaries. But very nice to see everyone, and I just wanted to say a couple of things about our engagement with the partnership. We were there at the beginning, and this really is the vision of Germany and WRI, and the work of Pablo and his team over many years, and we really congratulate you for both the vision and to where it's come. And, I would say a couple of things about this partnership that we have benefited from. The first is that it occupies a really unique space in helping to coordinate requests and responses. And one thing that I think this has done for us is it's actually changed the way that we look at our engagement with countries, so that we're now much more demand-driven than we were before. We actually have, AID now has a program that is focused on responding to country requests. And, I can't say for sure that was influenced by this, but it is a new component that brings tens of millions of dollars to the response, and has been a way for us to engage with countries through the NDC partnership, and we have engaged a number of partners that way. That's in addition to the somewhere around 15 million or so that we've put in through our own demand-driven programs at the State Department that are helping to respond to requests. The second is that this has become a unique forum for learning where the gaps are and how we can adjust our responses to help fill them. And the World Bank just highlighted country platforms, which is deeply now a part of the discussions about how we build capacity. I see Brazil also, who's been advancing this concept, but this is a way where these kind of these concepts can be put into reality, because so much of what happens there is about manpower and capacity, and that's where the NDC partnership has a particular strength, is in helping us to move support to build capacity for advancing these kind of policy and institutional activities. So it's a very, very important process. And one that I hope we will be engaged in the future. I would just say that over the course of this administration, we have President Biden pledged to increase our climate support to $11 billion by 2024, and I'm pleased to say that we've met that, and we've met our goal of supporting developing countries at $3 billion a year for adaptation. We met that pledge a year early last year, and we will meet it again this year. And that funding will continue to flow. The nature of this is that countries, all of you, will continue to benefit from those investments. We make the case to our Congress, to our taxpayers and our citizens all the time that it's not only profoundly right for us to do this, but it's profoundly in our interest to do it. And I'm sure that many people will continue to make that case very strongly in the U.S. As we go through our changes. We hope to be working with you closely and wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trig, and thank you for all the support and the great collaboration over the last 4 years. Let me now invite Ms. Wampi Libon, Ambassador of Sustainable Development and Director of Inclusive Green Growth in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Netherlands, representing one of our previous co-chairs also. Wampi, welcome.
So thank you. So Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's really a great pleasure to be here among partners and among friends. So let me echo those who alluded to the urgency and also to the achievements of the NDC partnership. And also thanks to Rwanda and Denmark for chairing. I think they did an excellent job. Really see it's a collective accomplishment that has been possible because of our strong collaboration and also by aligning scarce resources to maximize impact. So the NDC partnership has truly played a pivotal role in connecting demand and support to really help to create the necessary climate action on the ground. And the partnership will continue to do so by enabling the submission of ambitions NDC 3.0. So we really need to build on this success, and each of us needs to follow through on the commitments to the partnership. I think it's really important that country partners take high-level ownership and truly engage the ministers of finance to ensure that the integration of the climate action within the national plans and budget, but also important that implementation partners and the donors deepen their commitment to the partnership in order to really leverage the full potential of our organizations and also align the bilateral programs with the NDC objectives. In its engagement, the Netherlands will especially focus on food systems and water management, as these are crucial levers for climate action and also really engines for climate adaptation. So food and water, of course, are also particular areas where the Netherlands has expertise to offer, and we all really hope that we can help partner countries to implement their NDC commitments. So with our dedicated support, for example, in the water climate nexus, I think we really can make advancement on something that is really important. And the same thing goes for food systems, where there is a connection to be made with the national food systems pathways that are also very important on country level. So finally, I think also one thing to mention is, of course, the private sector. I think also it's really important to attract the private sector. So because without the private sector investment, I think it's really difficult to achieve what is needed. So it's really important to add those in. So I wish Pablo and team, I wish you all the best. I think you have the network in place. I think there are a lot of partners really eager to work on everything. So lots of success with our common journey. Thanks.
Thank you very much, and I love that comment about a common journey, because that is what we need. And as we speak about the importance of sectoral approaches to drive climate action, it is my honor to invite Mr. Francesco La Camera, Director General of the International Renewable Energy Agency, to the floor. Dear friend, welcome.
So, Paolo, buongiorno. Good morning, everyone. First, Paolo, I wish to congratulate you and your team for your work on this last year. You know, we met with Paolo when I was at a different head, I think, working for the Italian Minister for the Environment. I hope that there will be no scandal, but we are in swimsuit in Fiji Islands during the pre-COP, and where we started to have this dialogue. When I started working in Arena, I tried to steal Pablo from the NDC Partnership by bringing him in Abu Dhabi, but he said no. So the only way to continue to work with him is through this partnership. So Irina is obliged to work with him if I want to share the joy on working with him. I also to say that looking at this room, honestly, also the people has already left. You have the nicest people here at the COP. The more committed to the Paris Agreement. So it's really the sense that your partnership has been really captured, the essence of the working together. We as Arena, we are absolutely committed to work with you. We have our model that where we're trying to link and make the connection between the NDCs and the national planning. That sometimes perhaps you don't believe it, but the NDC, one thing in certain country, the energy planning is something else. So we have to connect these two stream of work. And also we have to make the NDC as effective as possible. We have, for example, launched this initiative for Africa, the Accelerated Partnership for Renewable Energy. Now we have 11 countries. We are building with them their plans. And this plan will be the NDCs in some way. So we will ensure the coherence. And then working with them, the question is also how to work for the implementation. So ensuring that there is a full cycle, supporting the planning, but then also working on the project and project on the ground. This is what we are trying to do with the Accelerated Partnership for Renewable Energy in Africa. What we are trying to do this in Central Asia with the partnership that we launched a few days ago here for the Central Asia country, and we are already committed to have an investment forum here in Baku in June this year in the occasion of the Energy Week. We are working with Singapore to launch a Southeast Accelerated Partnership for Renewable Energy in Africa. We are starting to discuss with Brazil to have something after the leadership of President Lula for South America. So what we are trying to do as Arena is to connect all the dots of our working together, the planning, the implementation, the monitoring. All you know, our tracking report is my last comment, and then I finish. You have hopefully read our tracking report. It's clear, as Mr. Miliband say, that we are going in the right direction. There is no doubt that we are going to a new energy system, largely dominated by renewables, complemented by hydrogen, mainly green, and the sustainable use of biomass. This will happen. No one will stop this. The problem is to be in time to fight climate change. So the NDCs is the last chance we have, before 2030 to ensure the 43% reduction of CO2 emission, having 65% of renewables into the grid. We will work for this. Paolo, you have friends. We have a global partnership. All our global member states will be working with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francesco. And our collaboration has been great, and we very much appreciate it. Let me now turn to a voice from a developing country so that we can bring the perspective of what countries are looking for and need and their leadership. So it's an honor to invite Permanent Secretary Dr. Dudi Chibamba. He's the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment of Zambia. PS, please.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah. I'm here representing my Minister for the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment in Zambia, Honorable Mike Posha, who would have loved to be here, but he's not able, unfortunately. Your Excellencies, NDC Partnership co-chairs, distinguished ministers from NDC Partnership country members, both developed and developing countries, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to speak here on behalf of the Government of the Republic of Zambia to highlight our commitment to advancing climate action through strong government ownership as we aim to raise our ambition, and most importantly, through collaborative partnerships like the one that you provide yourselves here. This event showcases the NDC Partnership's powerful model for accelerating NDC implementation, and Zambia is proud to be part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, Zambia is deeply committed to driving ambitious climate action. We recognize that transformative change begins at home, guided by our national priorities and a dedication to building a sustainable and resilient future. Furthermore, achieving the goals of the Paris Agreement and our own national targets requires a collective approach. This challenge can only be met through partnerships and the shared resolve of the global community, again, through your initiatives like the one that we are witnessing here. In Zambia, climate action is a national priority, driven at the highest levels of government. We have demonstrated this ownership by allocating national resources and elevating our ambition through inclusive, programmatic approaches. A prime example is the recent approval by the Cabinet of the Green Economy and Climate Change Bill, an initiative designed to create a strong foundation for long-term action and increased access to climate finance. Indeed, we will have our Climate Act ready by the end of this year. Our collaboration with the NDC Partnership has been invaluable. Through this partnership, Zambia has been able to align our climate goals with tangible support and resources. Together, we are building the readiness needed to attract finance and deliver on our NDC commitments. This support has already enabled us to establish a dynamic NDC implementation framework which is guiding our efforts across key sectors of our economy. Recently, in keeping with our commitment to enhancing our NDC, Zambia has submitted a request for an NDC stocktake, the development of NDC 3.0, the revision of our NDC implementation framework, the formulation of an NDC investment plan, and critical capacity building initiatives. Needless to say that NDC partnerships, you've been instrumental in all these efforts that we are doing in Zambia. We are happy that several partners have been mobilized through the partnership in a more coordinated manner to effectively support our government efforts. These include the World Bank, the UNDP, FAO, and UNICEF. The current revision of our NDC, the 3.0, is being done by UNDP, but through the facilitation of the NDC partnership. We look forward to starting on the development of the next NDC 3.0 with my technical team. As the global stocktech urges us to close gaps in implementation and finance, we recognize that collaboration is extremely essential. Zambia's efforts, supported by our partners, have focused on integrating climate considerations into national policies and budgets, strengthening regulatory frameworks, and enhancing coordination mechanisms. However, we call upon all partners to amplify their support to drive comprehensive readiness and implementation, especially as we raise our ambition through the development of the so-called 3.0 versions of the NDCs. As I conclude, I call upon all members and partners to strengthen our collective efforts within the NDC Partnership to help countries like Zambia close the financing gap in the current NDC. Zambia's financing gap, based on the NDC implementation framework, is estimated at around $10 billion. Together, we can create the enabling conditions needed to developing countries like Zambia to achieve their climate ambitions and lead the way to a low carbon and resilient future. With Zambia's commitment and the continued support of partners like yourselves, I'm confident that we can turn ambition into action and build a sustainable legacy for future generations to come. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very, very much, PS. I appreciate very much your very important words, and also to highlight the power of collaboration, because our next two speakers actually represent two of the institutions that you mentioned, which are fundamental, the World Bank and UNDP. So thank you for that. Let me invite now Ms. Jennifer Sarah, Global Director of Climate Change Global Practice at the World Bank, to take the stage. Jennifer, welcome.
So thank you very much, Paulo. And it's a pleasure to be here and also to speak after the Honorable Representative from Zambia, because I was asked to speak about finance. And very, very pleased for the World Bank to be, along with other MDBs, a member of the NDC the NDC Partnership, and how we can really work together with countries, with partners, to leverage the collective power of the partnership and drive ambitious climate action. And we've all heard from every other speaker how NDCs are so central to achieving the Paris Agreement goals. And at the World Bank, we really have taken that centrality to the center of what we're doing, and seeing how through all the work that we're doing in countries that we can continue to encourage countries as they think of their near-term NDCs and NDC 3.0, that they also consider it within the context of the longer-term low-emissions pathways that need to be integrated into long-term strategies, national adaptation plans, but also, as we heard from the countries, they have to be country-owned but embedded in national development plans, and supported by strong analytics, but also the finance. So far, we are working in partnership. We've helped 40 countries strengthen and implement their NDCs, and I appreciate the helping countries prepare and implement and focus on that. But we also see how we're looking at them in the national budgets and development plans. We're saying, how do we crowd in finance? So in addition to what Noel said, that we as MDBs collectively working around country platforms and helping countries really collectively look at policies and investment planning that would crowd in different forms of finance, we're also working with the ministries of finance on government budgets and how they can also squeeze their own scarce public resources towards climate finance and development in a more effective way, since we see finance ministries playing such a critical role. So there's 5 guiding principles very, very quickly. Like we say, climate action has to be embedded in long-term development plans, and look at the risks, opportunities, and resources and align fully with NDCs, NAPs, et cetera. Second, climate investments must be fiscally responsible and not have unsustainable borrowing. Third, that we need to help how climate spending should integrate into regular budget processes all across from subnational up to national government. But also, finally, looking at how finance ministries can assess the fiscal risks of the climate impacts across the economy. And finally, how do you crowd in private investment? So we are here to work generally with everyone. One final point of where a good source of revenue is really looking at carbon pricing instruments in countries, emission trading systems, carbon crediting, carbon markets. And carbon markets are important as we look at NDCs to make sure that we actually look in a holistic way. So I don't want to go into more details, but I think it is important that we look comprehensively at linking the NDC's national planning and financing, because it's very, very important that national climate ambition and international climate ambition have to come hand in hand. So let me end up there in the spirit of time and really welcome the invitation and welcome our partnership. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Thank you for coming and thank you for the strong collaboration. And again, the role of the MDBs, including bringing the ministers of finance to the table, is so fundamental if we want to successfully move forward. Our last speaker before we close is another representative from a champion member. UNDP takes the biggest amount of requests coming through the partnership. I'm honored to introduce Mr. Marcos Neto, Assistant Secretary General, Assistant Administrator, and Director of the Bureau of Policy and Program Support of UNDP. Welcome, Marcos.
Thank you, Pablo. Muchas gracias. It's an honor for me to be here at this event with the NDC Partnership. We've been there as an active member since its inception. We sit on the steering committee, and we are deeply committed to scaling up its impact on the ground as one of the largest implementers of the NDC Partnership. We welcome the co-chairmanship in the past, the Danish, the Rwanda, and delighted to have my home country, Brazil, joining the NDC Partnership now. Now, in the second generation of NDCs, 92% of developing countries raise ambition, including almost all of SIDS and LDCs. Let me give an example of that ambition and the work that we're doing together. In Uruguay now derives some 98% of its powers from renewable, creating 50,000 new green jobs during the transition. In China, EVs account for 50% of all new car registrations, initiating a mobility transition that could drive a breakthrough globally in less than 10 or 5 years. In fact, clean energy accounts for 90% of China's GDP in 2023. Continuing to deliver on Paris Agreement globals requires a deeper convergence and the understanding that climate ambition is a strong development choice. I think Jennifer just mentioned about the need to link. I am looking, if you look at the NDC 3.0 and the work that we're doing with the NDC Partnership and the way we as UNDP are leading the UN system on the climate promise to provide support, the NDCs are going to be almost like a prisma. If you look at the old Rubik cubes, one side it is the NDC, the other side is the development plan, the other side is the NBSAPs, right? It's all becoming one big planning process, as it should be in that sense, right? And that's why the Secretary General has asked us, UNDP, through our climate promise, to lead a coordinated effort of 30 UN agencies who are coming together to provide support for this NDC 3.0 process. This represents the UN system's contribution to the NDC Partnership. We are grateful for the support from many of our donors to the climate promise. The Germans were here, UK, Spain, and others who have stepped up to provide support and surge resources to the climate promise and the NDC Partnership. As part of this effort, we must look beyond 2025. Bending the curve requires robust and sustained implementation. The NDC Partnership model is uniquely positioned to address today's implementing challenges. Its country-driven approach prioritizes local ownership and tailored support, ensuring that NDCs are more than ambition commitments. They are actionable, sustainable, and implementable. Roadmaps embedding each country's unique context and national development priorities. The beauty of the Paris Agreement is this bottom-up sovereign approach represented on the NDCs. With our collective support, countries have already made meaningful strides in target setting, policy integration, adaptation planning, stakeholders engagement, and finance planning. Our commitment to fostering partnerships across governments, the private sector, civil society, and international development partners has been instrumental in driving climate action. This collaborative model remains a powerful tool for achieving the transformative changes envisioned in the NDC 3.0. However, we must recognize the need for us to do more, particularly in tackling the critical issues of driving finance towards the ambitions pledged. At UNDP, we are leveraging existing SDG finance mechanisms and tools to mobilize resources that strengthen climate action while simultaneously delivering development outcomes. For example, we are building on mechanisms introduced under the Finance for Development process. They integrate national financial frameworks that help define and deliver key instruments for sustainable development finance, such as budget reforms, tax policies, green bond, carbon markets, the development of bankable projects, and private sector engagement. Through the INFFs, we are putting in place financing strategies in 86 countries. And we're going to turn all the 86 countries' work so far behind the NDCs. So when the NDCs show up in Belém, the idea is that they have a cost and they have a financial plan to which the country platforms can pick up, right? You know, the country platforms have to finance something. And that's what we hope they will finance, the financial strategies that come behind the NDCs. NDCs are the backbone of the Paris Agreement. UNDP and the entire UN system stand ready to join with our partnership members to create a cohesive pathway for global climate action. NDCs remind us that the most impactful investments we make today are the opportunities we create for many generations to come. Pablo, count on us. We're in this journey together from the beginning. We'll carry on in this journey with you for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcus, and thank you for that reiteration of our collaboration and the support that we have been providing to many, many countries on NDCs, and now how we need to double down on implementation. Thank you very much for that. And as we celebrate the success of the partnership in the last few years and the leadership of our co-chairs, Rwanda, it is also a great honor to introduce for, I guess we could call it their first formal participation as the new co-chairs coming in next year, are great champions, next COP presidents, Brazil. So let me invite Ambassador Lilian Chagas from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Brazil to deliver the closing remarks of this event. Lilian, welcome.
Thank you, Pablo. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. We are the newcomers to the NDC partnership, and as we are very bold, we are invited to the front seat as the co-chair together with Denmark. We are really excited to this role. We hope we can learn from the experience that the partnership and the members have, and also share our experience, all the discussions that we had this year in Brazil in order to put together one of the first NDC presented to the UNFCCC. So Brazil just presented here in the hands of the Vice President of the country, our second NDC that was designed to be according what we think is the best science available to NDC design and implementation. So we were actually the third country to present the NDC after Panama and the United Arab Emirates. And it is in a different format. It's not only a target for 2035, it has a pathway to reach the target. And in doing that, it's possible to be read as an investment plan. You know, whoever reads that will understand where Brazil wants to be in terms of low carbon economy in 10-year times. So by doing that, we hope to inspire others to see advantages in designing this climate policy as a truly economic plan, you know, to develop a green economy. I would like to, the other thing that I would like to say to you is that next year, 2025, will be a pivotal year to the Paris Agreement, because it's the second cycle of NDCs, but they're the first time NDCs will be informed by a global stocktake. The global stocktake of the agreement that was concluded last year, countries should be taking that into account to come forward with more ambitious targets and more ambitious policies, and also a plan to how to implement them. You know, that's our motto for this COP. We must transition away from fossil fuels, but also transition away from a negotiation logic to an implementation logic. So NDCs must be implemented. Otherwise, we will have high targets and low results. So this is very important. We hope that our participation in the steering committee will help to put some emphasis on support, finance, implementation to developing countries. We are very excited to join this partnership. We understand that it's a very successful initiative, and we want to use, you know, all this knowledge and these outcomes to put it at service of COP30 next year. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you very much. And with that, and a little bit late, I want to thank you all for joining us today for this celebration of the 8th year of the NDC Partnership, focusing on doubling down on our support for countries to finalize their NDCs 3.0 and moving forward with accelerated implementation of the NDCs. We have a big challenge. We'll deliver by Belém, and we'll rejoin our conversations throughout the year to try to drive this forward. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for joining us.